A truck can pass every inspection, run perfectly, and still be worth nothing to an insurance company the day you need them most. Size. 10 features now sitting on dealership lots as upgrades are being quietly flagged as liabilities behind closed doors. An owner-operator in Central Texas found this out the hard way, after a claim on a 6-month-old truck came back denied over a single line item in his policy. By the end of this, you'll understand why the features marketed as safety are becoming the reasons claims get denied. Curious, every year, an estimated 340,000 commercial and personal trucks in the U.S. carry at least one aftermarket or manufacturer add-on that falls into a gray zone insurers call unrated modification. That gray zone now touches an estimated $2.1 billion in annual claims exposure, money insurers are increasingly unwilling to absorb. The owner-operator from Section 1 had installed a factory-optioned adaptive suspension lift, standard on his trim package, not an aftermarket part. When his truck was struck by a distracted driver on I-35, the claim adjuster cited ride height deviation exceeding manufacturer baseline and cut the payout by 38%. He wasn't reckless. He bought what the dealership sold him. The villain in this story isn't a person, it's a rating system. Insurance underwriting models were built around trucks from 15 years ago: steel bumpers, mechanical suspensions, no cameras, no chips. They built actuarial tables for a truck that no longer exists. Modern trucks evolved. The rating models didn't. Every feature added since then gets treated as an unknown risk until proven otherwise, and proven can take years, sometimes a full model generation. But this is only the surface layer. Start with the timeline. 2015. Backup cameras become mandatory federal equipment. Insurers adjust rates down slightly, expecting fewer low-speed collisions. 2018. Adaptive cruise control and lane keep assist roll out across full-size trucks. Insurers can't yet price the risk of a system taking partial control of the vehicle, so they default to exclusion clauses buried in policy language. 2021. Manufacturers introduce over-the-air software updates for suspension, throttle mapping, and towing assist. Now the truck's behavior can change after the policy was written, without the owner touching a wrench. 3 words: nobody adjusted pricing. 2023. Telematics-based black box data becomes standard on most trims, quietly recording braking force, following distance, and hard acceleration events. Insurers gained access to more data than ever. They used almost none of it to lower rates. They used a growing share of it to deny claims. 2 words: data cuts both ways. By 2025, the National Association of Insurance Commissioners flagged advanced driver assistance systems as the fastest-growing category of unrated risk in the personal and light commercial truck market. Underwriters were approving these vehicles for sale. They were not approving them for full coverage. But here's what most people get wrong. Here are the 10 features now sitting in that gray zone, with the dollar exposure behind each one. 1. Adaptive ride height suspension. Claim reductions average 31.38% when ride height deviates from factory baseline at time of incident, even when the deviation came from the factory. That's a payout cut equivalent to 3 months of a typical owner-operator's net income. 2. Lane keep assist and adaptive cruise. 14 states now allow insurers to reduce liability payouts if the system was engaged and contributing to a collision, shifting partial fault onto the vehicle itself rather than either driver. That's a legal gray zone worth an estimated $410 million a year in disputed claims. 3. Telematics black boxes, standard on 68% of new truck trims as of this year. Data pulled from these boxes is used in claims disputes in roughly 1 out of 4 commercial cases, usually against the policyholder, not for them. 4. Aftermarket and factory lift kits over 3 inches. Voids rollover coverage in 9 states outright, regardless of certification. 5. Oversized tire packages beyond OEM spec. triggers a full re-rating of the vehicle. Adding $600 to $1,400 a year in premium the buyer never sees disclosed at the point of sale. 6. DPF and emissions system modifications. Not just an EPA violation, a near-automatic claim denial. Insurers treat emissions tampering as evidence of material misrepresentation on the entire policy, not just the modified part. 7. Remote start and aftermarket security systems wired into the CAN bus. Flagged by 31% of major insurers as unauthorized electrical modification, full stop. 8. Extended or modified cab configurations. Reclassifies the vehicle's weight rating, which can silently shift it out of a personal use policy and into an uninsured commercial gap. 9. Alternative fuel conversions, propane, CNG, and biodiesel blends above manufacturer spec. Requires a separate rider in 22 states, one most owners don't know exists until a fire-related claim is denied. 10. Non-OEM front-end armor and bumper replacements. Flagged for altered crash sensor geometry, which can disable airbag deployment logic the manufacturer never tested for that geometry. Here's the counterintuitive turn. Every one of these features was marketed to buyers as increasing safety or vehicle value. The data says the opposite happened to their coverage. The safer a truck looks on the lot, the harder it can be to get paid out after a wreck. Which resolves the second thread. The villain was never malice. It was a 15-year lag between what manufacturers build and what actuaries are willing to price. If you've ever felt like your policy didn't match the truck you actually drive, you were right, and almost nobody says that plainly. Most owners assume more technology means more protection. The people who actually read their declarations pages know something different. Every added system is an added exclusion until an insurer decides otherwise, and that decision can take a decade. Watching this puts you ahead of the buyer standing on the lot right now, signing for a trim package without asking a single question about how it's rated. The owner-operator in Texas didn't lose his claim because he did something wrong. He lost part of it because the truck outran the paperwork behind it. That gap is still open on nearly every new trim level rolling off the line this year. Which brings us to what happens next. Manufacturers will keep building trucks around software, sensors, and adaptive systems, because that's what sells. Insurers will keep pricing those trucks like they're still driving 2011 hardware, because that's what their models allow. The gap between those two realities isn't closing. It's the fastest growing blind spot in American trucking, and it's sitting in driveways right now, fully loaded, and only half covered.